If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members.
And we are back. How are you guys? Khalid Mahmoud with you tonight. Welcome back to Survival Dispatch. Tonight, we've got a really interesting show for you. This is the first in a multi-part series for us. We've got my friend John Rossomando with us. John is a good friend. We've done some counterterrorism projects together. But I've been a student of his for a while with his writing and with what he's done on broadcast television. He is probably the most well-informed subject matter expert on the Muslim Brotherhood, from understanding their financial ties, their governmental ties, and their ideological background. That explains me and John to you. But John himself is a defense and counterterrorism analyst. He was a senior analyst for counterterrorism with the Investigative Project on Terrorism for 8 years. His work has been, now John, if I miss any of these, you've got to drop them in. The American Thinker, The National Interest, National Review Online, Daily Wire, Red Alert Politics, CNSnews.com, The Daily Caller, Human Events, Newsmax.
Newsmax, the National Interest, 1945. I'm a regular on NewsX in India. I do, Times of India has interviewed me a few times. Been on Al Arabiya, Al Hura, Al Sharq News in Dubai, Al Kahira, the Cairo channel in Egypt, Newsmax TV, OAN. So I've been all over the place, and I also do some consulting for clients in multiple countries. So
good. So now everybody knows who John is. John, I mean, if you're on X, find John.
Don't forget, I'm an author of the Arab Spring Ruse, how the Muslim Brotherhood duped Washington in Libya and Syria. That you can find it on Amazon.com, and I'm working on an upcoming book on Libya.
Oh, that's going to be interesting. Are you going to cover Benghazi?
I'm going to cover it in passing, but it's going to be really more looking in depth at the Muslim Brotherhood operation together with Al Qaeda in Libya that's gotten the U.S. on the wrong side of history.
Okay. All right. So before we start, if you are watching, like, share, and subscribe. Let's get John started because we've only got John for the first hour tonight. John, let's set the stage very simply. Let's start from the very basics in the U.S. Let's talk about the Operational Command and Control Center for the Muslim Brotherhood at Dar al-Hijra Islamic Center in Falls Church, Virginia. Help our audience understand what that Islamic Center does.
Well, Dar al-Hijra Islamic Center is the nerve center of the Muslim Brotherhood, and it's a connective tissue, with Al Qaeda. It's where the 9/11 hijackers went. It's where Anwar al-Awlaki, the Al Qaeda leader who was killed in 2011, was imam on 9/11. It's where the Council on American Islamic Relations leadership, a lot of those people go to pray. It's where Hamas leader Musa Abu Marzouk attended until he was exiled from the United States to Jordan in '96. So every single, based on court records, based on financial records, finding that all of the major organizations that were created during the Arab Spring to influence the Obama administration came out of that mosque, and many of them were incorporated by a Northern Virginia lawyer by the name of Ashraf Nabhani.
Okay. Now, Muslim Brotherhood it's evolved a lot since it first started. Can you help me understand, when did they go from being focused on the Middle East to being focused on the West?
Well, they started coming to the West in the 1950s and 1960s as the Nasser regime in Egypt was persecuting them. The CIA actually started looking at the Muslim Brotherhood as something that it could use against the godless communists, considering that a large...
Wait, hold on. The CIA decided to start using the Muslim Brotherhood?
Yes, the CIA started using these. You had, I believe it was Sayyid Ramadan, the son of Hassan al-Banna, who founded the Muslim Brotherhood in 1929. Let me just give a little background on the Brotherhood for people who aren't familiar. The Muslim Brotherhood is a transnational movement founded in 1928 rather, in Egypt by Hassan al-Banna, who was an Egyptian school teacher who aimed to restore the caliphate, which is the traditional global Islamic state that existed until World War I and the collapse in 1924 due to the creation of the modern state of Turkey. So this group has had as its modus operandi since 28 to resurrect this caliphate by education, by Islamization, by converting those who it does not believe is authentically Muslim. And you, Khalid, as a Muslim, if you don't belong to the Muslim Brotherhood, you're not a real Muslim as far as they're concerned. I mean, that's the thing. If you're not with them, you're against them. I mean, and you had the Muslim Brotherhood, fought against the creation of the state of Israel, participated in the jihad in 1947 and 1948. Hamas is probably the most famous or infamous, depending on your perspective, branch of the Muslim Brotherhood. But let's just move, back to the Brotherhood in the West. I mean, you started out with the Brotherhood setting up a mosque in Munich, and it's now become pervasive, all over Europe. I mean, the French government published a report back in May in which it talked about how the Brotherhood had a deleterious impact on French politics. In Britain, the Muslim Council of Britain has become so powerful that you have the prime minister basically in government basically kowtowing to its will. Well, here in the United States, you had something called the Muslim Students Association that was created, I think it was 63 or something like that, in which you had Muslim students from all over the Muslim world, particularly from Egypt, who created a presence that evolved into the Islamic Society of North America and created something called the North American Islamic Trust, which owns all of the mosques in America. I, have a prominent, Muslim cleric who I've been friends with, and I can't disclose publicly because, of his privacy and his safety, who worked with them and said that they're all Muslim Brotherhood, and that the Muslim Brotherhood controls all the mosques, all of the Islamic institutions in America.
All of them.
All of them, or Jamaat Islami, which is kind of their South Asian cousin.
Yep, that we have plenty of Jamaat Islami in Pakistan, Bangladesh.
The Islamic Circle of North America is Jamaat Islami in America. And I think it's kind of interesting is that, it's got to be bipartisan, like Maulana Maududi, who is the founder of Jamaat Islami. His granddaughter is now a figure in the Georgia Republican Party in the U.S.
Yep. Yep, I know about that. Yeah, we've been following her because Maududi is famous because he filed a case here in Pakistan against Muhammad Ali Jinnah and the founder of Pakistan. And the judge in 1956, I think it was, asked the court, said, look, I want you guys to decide, do you want Maududi's Pakistan or do you want Jinnah's Pakistan? Make a decision which one you want, and I'll make my ruling based on that.
Yeah. Well, we ended up getting Maududi's Pakistan.
Yeah.
Sadly, with the rise of Zia al-Haq and, Jamaat Islami is the incubator of the Taliban via Gulbuddin Hekmatyar, and who was one of the leaders of the jihad against the Soviets in the 80s, and now still is around. He's an old man now, but he's infamously was the one guy when you have that famous picture of all the Mujahideen with Reagan in '83 who refused to shake Reagan's hand.
Yep, he was the one. Yeah, he was the guy. Help me understand, inside the Muslim Brotherhood's operational structure, Muiz and Bassam, what is their functionality inside the operational structure?
Are you referring to Muaz Mustafa?
Mustafa.
Okay. Well, anyways, let's just unpack this. Muaz, was connected with Dar al-Hijra. They created something called the Syrian Emergency Task Force in March of 2011, right around the same time that Yusuf, give you a bunch of names here. Yusuf al-Qaradawi, who until a few years ago was the Muslim Brotherhood's top ideologue worldwide, he declared jihad against the Assad regime and said that Muslims should go fight there. Well, anyways, Nubani gets together with Sam Umesh, who's a Muslim godfather of the International Muslim Brotherhood. According to our friend, Sarah Adams, his brother is an Al Qaeda, member in the Balkans, who've been tracked for funding. His other brother, Mohammed Omesh, who I met 3 days after 9/11, was part of a. I'm blanking on the exact charity's name that was involved in funding the attacks against the U.S. Embassy in Kenya and Tanzania in '98. Anyways, this they go and create something called the Syrian Emergency Task Force that led by Mustafa. Right. That ends up, becoming one of the central groups involved in creating the movement that led to what we saw in this past week with, now Ahmed al-Shara, who's known previously as Abu Muhammad al-Jolani, the former head of Al-Qaeda's wing in Syria, Jabhat al-Nusra, ISIS, known under different names, Hayat Tahrir al-Sham, Jabhat al-Fateh. It's just a lot of names that people aren't going to connect. But the most important things people need to know is that this did not happen overnight. This was part of a methodical, well-organized lobby that the Muslim Brotherhood created starting at Dar al-Hijra in March of 2011.
Okay, so Jolani's climb started from 2011.
Well, I'm saying that the lobby that made him normalized began to be created. Because, you have to, in order for a message to resonate, you have to plant the seeds. You have to till the soil. So, and that you had this Syrian Emergency Task Force, along with another cell called the Syrian American Council that was based out of the Chicago area, that made the land fertile because, the Obama administration started working closely with these guys because President Obama signed a directive in the fall of 2010 called PSD-11, which is a still classified document that put the United States behind supporting Islamist movements to overthrow secular Arab dictators.
Okay, now why did Obama sign a document like that? I mean, during Obama's term, we were fighting the war on terror. So why would Obama lock in with the Islamists?
Okay, because there was a theory that if you get the good Islamists, we'll protect against the bad Islamists.
Okay.
We'll protect against we'll get the moderates. I mean, it was the whole stupid idea that kept us from paying attention, the CIA from paying attention to the 9/11 plot, saying, hey, we don't have any assets inside Al-Qaeda. Maybe we'll try to make nice with some of these people. But they go ahead and they stab us in the back. So, I mean, it's the idea is that if we work with these moderates, we'll control the radicals. It doesn't work that way.
Never worked. That's never worked. The moderates have never been able to control the radicals, even in Muslim countries.
No. I mean, I'm trying to explain the rationale and the logic behind this, or the lack thereof. I mean, it's like bureaucratic incompetence. I've been following these guys, reading what they say in Arabic, Urdu, Turkish, interviewing people who worked among them. I mean, just what distinguishes me from a lot of other researchers, I've talked with some of the liberal people who started out the uprising against Assad. I can't name them because of their safety and their privacy, but a few of them became members of what they call the Syrian National Council, which was the first attempt to create an alternative to the Assad regime that the Obama administration recognized as the legitimate government of Syria. So these guys say that the Muslim Brotherhood hijacked the movement. The problem with the liberals and the socialists, secularists, anti-Baathists, they were divided among themselves. I mean, one of them, I've heard of, Sheikh Mohammed al-Yaqoubi was the first guy to declare jihad against Assad. He ends up being exiled because, he sees, what's going on, that the hardcore, Islamists who had been part of the uprising against Assad back in '82 are running this show here. That's why we ended up getting like Al-Qaeda and ISIS. I mean, they started all, working together. We give them weapons, they take them elsewhere. And then you also had the Turks. I mean, I interviewed Robert Ford, the Obama ambassador to Syria. He said, I knew that the Turks were in bed with snakes. And I told them that he said, I mean, we knew what we were dealing with when we were in Iraq. So, these people, because they're, the thing about the Brotherhood is they're like the communists. They operate in cells. They're very well organized, very well, resourced, financed by Qatar, financed over at times by the Saudis, different Emirati clans and so forth. So they're funded, or I've studied psychology and I know how organizations take over. You don't need a large cadre. The Nazis were like a very small percentage of the German population, but they were better organized and they outmaneuvered the other side. Right.
So that's what the Muslim Brotherhood is doing?
That's the same. That is what happened in Syria. That is why we have Ahmed Shara as the president of Syria, and that's a liberal who we might agree with.
Okay. All right. Now you put a lot on the table, John. I mean, you put a lot on the table.
Well,
let's see if we can unpack this.
I'll let you, unpack that, and
let's go step by step. Let's go step by step. Let's go back to 2011 when the Islamists hijacked the Syrian revolution. Let's start from there and explain to me what Sheikh Mohammed al-Yaqoubi's role was at that point.
Well, Sheikh Mohammed al-Yaqoubi was one of the first, was actually the first Islamic cleric. He was the imam of a major mosque in Damascus who called for the ouster of Assad. I mean, right after the initial, protests that were peaceful, that were attacked by the Assad, regime's secret police. And, he started, and other, like more liberal, secular people trying to push Assad out with diplomatic pressure. And then, over time, they came to realize that wasn't going to happen. But the key thing that, you had was people like him weren't really organized. They weren't in a position where they could overcome the organizational structure of all these, Muslim Brotherhood guys who came from exile back into Syria to bring them. Then you had Assad decided to accelerate things by releasing jihadis from the Sednaya military prison outside Damascus, where it was called the human slaughterhouse.
Right.
So Assad sought to, jihadify, to discredit the people who were against him. And ultimately, the people who he released from prison are now running the country.
Right. Okay, that's my next question, because on one step we had the liberal move to take over Syria, but then we had the Syrian Muslim Brotherhood come around and hijack the opposition. Now, take us through that part of it.
Well, they ended up creating something called the Syrian National Council, later in 2011, that was created as an alternative government to the Assad regime. I mean, you started having the United States supporting the so-called Free Syrian Army, which started out with people in the Syrian army who were against Assad, creating liberated pockets around the country, from which to govern, that were free from Assad's control. But early in 2012. The Brotherhood, again, ended up taking over the Syrian National Council, according to Kamal al-Labwani, who was a liberal, member of the council, and others who I spoke with on the liberal faction, who said the Brotherhood completely controlled the operation there, and as a result, the Obama administration was starting in 2009. In Obama's Cairo speech, threw its support behind the Islamists.
Okay.
So the Obama administration begins to support only the Islamists. If you weren't Islamist, they didn't want to talk to you. They were the only. So the Obama administration decided to put its political capital, likely influenced by Qatar, with the support of Turkey, behind the Islamists.
Okay, now when you say Islamists, are you talking about the good Islamists according to the model, or the bad Islamists?
I'm talking about the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, the thing is among the Islamists, you have two wings. You have the political wing, you have the military wing. Right. And the thing that people will try to say, academics will try to say, they hate each other. Well, they'll talk openly about hating each other, but they'll fund each other. They'll provide. You'll see stuff in their social media. Like, I'll give you an example. There's a member of the Syrian American Council who's currently the sitting mayor of Prospect Park, New Jersey, named Mohammed Karula. Yeah, who is a Muslim Brotherhood supporter, who wrote glowingly about ISIS on his social media, starting in 2015 and 2016. So I'm just saying this to show people that it's very muddy. I mean, you have the Syrian American Council, which was the other wing of this movement, besides the Syrian Emergency Task Force, that had this big gathering this past week with Ahmed al-Shara in New York. Well, their leader, their top lobbyist, wrote an article in the Washington Post in December of 2012 saying that Jabhat al-Nusra, Al-Qaeda, should not be designated as a terrorist organization because it was the most effective fighter against Assad.
Wow. Okay.
So what I'm trying to say here is that people need to put down the academic assumptions that these people don't work together. They're like, we want democracy and all this stuff. It's window dressing. It's like, We want, it's sort of like basically the Brotherhood's philosophy is to adopt whatever works.
Okay.
Be, kind of like be like water, the Zen proverb,
Right.
To whatever, whether if you need to fight, like, when they fought against the first Hafiz al-Assad in the 70s and early 80s, resort to violence.
Right.
If you can win by ballots, you align with the kafirs, the unbelievers, and get into parliaments. So it's whatever. Again, it comes down to whatever works. But they'll publicly condemn each other, but that's all like noise for the outsiders.
Okay. Just one question for you. Right now in the current structure of the way Muslim Brotherhood is, who is the actual leader of the Muslim Brotherhood?
Well, since 2013, when Morsi was overthrown and the Sisi government throwing all of the major leaders of the Brotherhood, including the Supreme Guide, into his dungeons. I mean, you have the nominal leader, I believe, is a guy Mahmoud al-Assad, but I have to look on that. The Brotherhood has become more diffuse. If you want to look at the de facto leader, I would say that's Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan, because his AKP party is part of the Muslim Brotherhood movement. Like when the Brotherhood was kicked out of Egypt, they all went to Istanbul. They set up Brotherhood, TV stations, Brotherhood, propaganda networks. When all of the American Brotherhood people go to a central location, they go to Turkey. Turkish intelligence, was also very closely tied to like the Syrian Emergency Task Force. The reason I can say that is I spoke with a early board member who worked with Moaz al-Mustafa for a few years, who claimed to have seen Moaz with Turkish intelligence officers in Gaziantep, Turkey, sometime in 2012, 2013. And then he also stated that Moaz privately was a supporter of Jabhat al-Nusra.
Wow. Okay. All right.
And publicly, and you can look this up on my article in the investigatorproject.org, he endorsed something called the Islamic Front, and we have the audio. And that was a jihadi coalition that had common cause with Jabhat al-Nusra, although they disagreed who should be in charge.
Okay. So basically Muslim Brotherhood and Al-Qaeda are the exact same thing.
I mean, they basically very closely, working together. I mean, I don't want to, get in and say, okay, they're completely the exact same thing. You have different command structures. You have different political structures. But the Brotherhood helps pay the Al-Qaeda's bills. I mean, this has been shown time and time again in U.S., European, Israeli, and other government documents, related to terrorism financing. The Brotherhood guys are the ones who are the bagmen for Al-Qaeda. Like, I'll tell you where my interest in the Brotherhood began. 3 days after 9/11. Somebody threw a brick through the Old Town Alexandria Islamic bookstore. And I go in there and I meet Abdurrahman al-Amoudi. 2 years later, he is put in prison for fundraising for Al-Qaeda and for plotting to assassinate the then Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia. So, and this Mohammed al-Mash guy who I mentioned earlier. So, I'm finding a very difficult time seeing a difference other than maybe the Irish Republican Army Sinn Féin analogy. Sinn Féin, during the Troubles, was the political wing of the IRA.
Right.
The Muslim Brotherhood kind of acts as the political wing of the global jihad movement.
Okay. All right, that's what I was trying to get to. That's what I was trying to get to. Help me understand. You talked about the Islamic Society of North America. You talked about the Muslim Students Association. How diverse is Muslim Brotherhood in the United States?
Well, they have a lot of front organizations. I mean, like the Syrian American Council is one, Syrian Emergency Task Force. The leaders are all documented as being Brotherhood. The Muslim American Society, of which Dar al-Hijra belongs to, is the most, militant among the Arab community. And according to U.S. prosecutors in a 2008 case, they said that it was the quote-unquote overt arm of the Muslim Brotherhood. And al-Moody himself said the same thing. And then you have the Council on American Islamic Relations, which is part of the Palestinian branch of the Brotherhood that was created by Hamas members. Nihad Awad and all those people. They're very much in the center of the globalized the Intifada that you see all over the U.S. along with American Muslims for Palestine, which is very closely related with Council on American Islamic Relations, Dar al-Hijra. I mean, I've met Osama Abu Rashid, who's the head of the Muslim American Society. Nice guy, but he's his social media shows that he's Brotherhood. Okay.
Now I want to step back. The Islamic Center that you were talking about, Dar al-Hijra, is that a militant center, or is that basically an organizing point for where Muslim Brotherhood comes together?
It's both. I mean, it was identified by U.S. Customs back in 2002, 2003 as a front for Hamas, which is, of course, the Palestinian Brotherhood. Shakir al-Zayed, the former Imam, Muslim Brotherhood. Issam Ramesh, the former head of the Muslim American Society and head of that mosque, who hired Anwar al-Awlaki. According to social media, Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, all of these guys, it's basically the nerve center because it's near of its proximity to the U.S. Capitol.
Right. Okay.
So, and then you have Nidal Hassan, the Fort Hood shooter, Dar al-Hijra. But, then you had some Egyptian Muslim Brotherhood offshoots called like Egyptian Americans for Democracy and Human Rights, Egyptian Americans for Freedom and Justice. I mean, those organizations were started out of, Dar al-Hijra and together with other mosques. But this mosque is the center of Brotherhood operations in the United States.
Wow. Okay. Now let's talk about the July 2012 meeting at Dar al-Hijra. Who was there? Why was it so important?
Well, there's a meeting at Dar al-Hijra in July 2012, and I have the minutes of the meeting, in which the leaders of every single major Muslim Brotherhood and Jamaat Islami organization in the United States attended. The Council on American Islamic Relations with Nihad Awad, was sort of acted as a secretary, and they talked about how they would organize the Muslim community in America to get it to support the Free Syrian Army. And at the same time period, you had another Brotherhood group out of Chicago called the Syrian Support Group that was recognized by the United States government as a logistic support, began supplying quote-unquote humanitarian aid to the Free Syrian Army. So, people will say that, how are they all connected, train and equip? I mean, you had Muaz Mustafa, going and working with with John McCain. McCain's connected with the CIA. You have Muaz going to Tampa and working with Special Operations Command, working to get them to train and equip these guys. So they had a meeting in which they all plotted their strategy to pressure the Obama administration to get behind the Free Syrian Army. I mean, you without this, you say, oh, it's just a conspiracy theory of all these dissociated. But if you have the minutes of a meeting that shows what they're doing, what their agenda was, it's like you do this, you do that. I mean, I've been involved in political coalitions in Washington most of my adult life, and I know that you have somebody who acts as the secretary. You bring everybody together. You're going to all write this letter. You're going to sign this letter. We're all going to, call this person, this person, this person.
Right.
So, I mean, there's enough circumstantial evidence to show that this meeting was a critical one in terms of organizing the Brotherhood to get the U.S. to look the other way to the extremist and jihadi orientations of a lot of these militias that call themselves the Free Syrian Army.
Okay, now a question for you, because in the first Trump administration they tried to outlaw Muslim Brotherhood. In this Trump administration they want to outlaw Muslim Brotherhood. What do you think the chances are of that actually happening?
Well, I think that the chances are pretty, slim. I mean, I think that, one thing that you have in this administration is Erdogan has basically, taken Trump's ear. I mean, we saw the kissy fest between Trump and Erdogan over like yesterday.
Yeah,
and you had the senior director for the Middle East and North Africa at the National Security Council, Dr. Eric Traeger, who was an anti-Islamist, wrote a book against the Muslim Brotherhood called the Arab Fall, getting fired. He was against kissing up to Ojolani and this, but Erdogan has a sway over Trump that I can't explain.
Okay. So your impression is that no matter what Trump does, he cannot get Muslim Brotherhood outlawed.
Well,
do you think that's
I don't know. It's a matter of political will. The question is, will he have the
political will? We've seen the political
will. I mean, there's a growing support among Republicans, conservatives, and so forth. But the president of the United States sets the policy.
Right.
I mean, we've seen, Trump wanted George Soros investigated, after Charlie Kirk, Soros is going down.
Yeah.
Trump decided. Where's the same, excitement telling, the Secretary of State? I mean, Trump could just pick up the phone, and tell Marco Rubio, designate the Muslim Brotherhood tomorrow.
Right.
Pam Bondi, restart the investigation into the Hamas connections of the Council on American Islamic Relations. Done.
Right.
I mean, there's just not a political will, I think, with this president to do this.
Okay.
I think that it's going to take a lot more, organization, coordination, and pushing to get it. I mean, we have people like Steve Witkoff and Tom Barak who are appeasing the Islamists. I mean,
that was my next question.
That was my next question. Remember people in Congress like Joe Wilson, who gets his marching orders from the Syrian American Council, which we've already said, is Brotherhood. The first prime minister of the National Council, of Syrian opposition forces back in 2013 was a member of the Syrian Brotherhood and a member of the Syrian American Council board at one point. You have, Mohammed Ghanem, the top lobbyist for the Syrian American Council, bringing a FSA colonel named Abdul Jabbar al-Kidi, who was on the record supporting ISIS. And
he was brought to Washington, right? He was praised in Washington.
And he even got him on Christiane Amanpour's show on CNN. I mean, we're talking people who on their social media, on in interviews, talking with people around them, who are openly supporting Al Qaeda, ISIS. I mean, one thing I thought was kind of comical is that Mr. Ghanem ends up, becoming a resource of the State Department on the Free Syrian Army.
Yep.
He ends up marrying a woman by the name of Khulud Kandil,
Yep.
who was in charge of the portfolio for the Free Syrian Army at the State Department. I mean, and it gets even better. Her uncle was Hisham Kandil, who was Morsi's prime minister, the Muslim Brotherhood prime minister of Egypt. How much more compromise can we get?
Okay, this is a loaded question. How compromised is the Congress and the various departments like state, defense with Muslim Brotherhood?
Well, I think completely by influence. I mean, they have strong influence through, Georgetown, George Washington University. A lot of the elite institutions have been influenced by Brotherhoodized academics. I mean, going back to the 1980s, when you had, this professor at Georgetown University by the name of John Esposito, who was the protege of Ismail Farouki, who was the founder of the Muslim Brotherhood's think tank, the International Institute for Islamic Thought. So you've had decades of Brotherhoodized, people going into academia, going into the U.S. government. So the Brotherhood narrative is the norm. We're seen as the wackos, the crazies, the extremists, because we say what these guys actually say, what they actually do, not the narrative about freedom. Okay, I mean you're a Muslim, so there's different. You can say different things like dignity, justice, freedom. They mean different things in your religion than they do in liberal societies. Yeah, am I correct?
Yeah, they're correct. Yep.
So you have liberals who don't understand the semantics getting pulled in by these lofty things. I mean, you have and I'm just like looking at this. I mean, when you have people like Joe Wilson, going and shaking hands with Ahmed al-Shara, and you have the president of the United States who talked about the Muslim ban, back when he was running for president in 2016, embracing the godfather of the Muslim Brotherhood, Recep Tayyip Erdogan, going to Qatar, which is the funder of these guys, going back to 2014. I mean, leaked, Turkish intelligence documents that have been released by my friend Abdullah Bozkurt show that Turkish intelligence played a key role in providing logistical support to Al Qaeda, and they've brought about the takeover of the country.
Right. Now, I'm gonna follow that up because you brought up Qatar. We've already talked about Turkey's role with the Muslim Brotherhood. Qatar is very heavily embedded with Hamas. Are they the same way with Muslim Brotherhood as well?
Yes, the Muslim Brotherhood. I mean, Qatar is their banker. Qatar is their funder. Where did Muaz Mustafa go in 2012 to try to secure funding? He had a meeting with the Emir of Qatar.
Yep.
You had Jabhat al-Nusra, according to different report from the British, they were supported by Qatar. Qatar, is close in supporting, supported the Syrian Brotherhood. And one of the, I don't know whether I can't verify it or not, but Rich Higgins, now, departed former member of the National Security Council who worked in a highly classified places during the beginning of this uprising claims that the Qataris wanted to build a pipeline across Syria to Turkey. Assad said no, so they were like, we're going to blow up Syria.
Right.
I mean, well, Mr. Higgins is no longer with us, so I think I can say that.
Safely. Okay, now a lot of people don't understand this, and this is something that I've spent a lot of time talking about. When you talk about how the Middle East is laid out, back in the old days, it was Saudi Arabia that was the funder of all of these groups. Now Qatar has taken that role, and the role that Qatar has taken inside the United States in funding universities and building institutions and, getting in basically like what APEC has done. They have picked up the same type of role. Are they doing it on behalf of Muslim Brotherhood, or are they doing it on behalf of their own country?
They're doing it. Everything they do, including their support of the Muslim Brotherhood, is on behalf of themselves. They banned the Brotherhood in their own country, but
Right.
It's sort of like they've basically made the Brotherhood an extension of themselves.
Okay.
That's the there's the rub. I mean, Qatar has been shown to be the number one funder of terrorism. I mean, whether it's Hamas funding, through like a Qatar charity, the Eid Foundation,
Right.
and other Qatari foundations.
Right.
Funding Al Qaeda. I mean, Qatar provided, aid and comfort for Khalid Sheikh Mohammed, the mastermind of 9/11. According to a leaked document from Hillary Clinton from 2009, Qatar was listed as the number one funder of everything from Lashkar-e-Taiba in South Asia to Al Qaeda to Hamas, and the thing with the Qataris, they only believe that terrorism is terrorism if Muslims are being killed by terrorists.
Oh, that's an interesting statement. That's a really interesting statement.
Because
now,
I confronted Mutlaq, al-Qahtani, who is the Qatari terrorism czar, at a conference in Washington, D.C. in 2018. I said, why don't you classify Hamas as a terrorist organization? Well, we believe that they're a liberation organization. The only time that they raise a stink is when Muslims are being killed.
Okay, now again, a loaded question. Susie Wiles, Pam Bondi, both were lobbyists for Qatar. Are they compromised to the Muslim Brotherhood?
They're clearly compromised by Qatari interests to look the other way. And also, the thing that I find kind of interesting is I'd have to double check this, but I think that I recall that Susie Wiles worked for Mercury Public Relations, which was hired by the Libyan Brotherhood interest to cast Khalifa Haftar as a war criminal and to look the other way on the Muslim Brotherhood Al Qaeda war crimes against anti-Ikhwanists in Libya.
Okay, so Qatar has been a supporter of the Taliban in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. They have supported Hamas. They've supported the Brotherhood. Do you think Qatar's involvement in U.S. politics is dangerous for Americans?
Absolutely, because their whole goal of the Brotherhood, since the 90s at least, has been to get the United States out of the Middle East so they can destroy Israel.
Okay.
I mean, that's that, and we're seeing it. We're seeing the United States disengaging, in the Middle East. We see, the Saudi Paki alliance, because the United States is no longer seen as a reliable power. The Brotherhood goal, stated in his literature in the 1990s, was to get the United States out of the Middle East.
And they pretty much achieved that.
Yeah, well, they've achieved it. I mean, as the Chinese would say, quoting Sun Tzu, know your enemy and know yourself, and that the supreme goal is to win without fighting. Well, they fought us a bit. They tired us out. I mean, that was, the stupidity of the Bush administration to go to Iraq, misfight Afghanistan. That gets the American people not wanting to be involved. And then, end up getting the U.S. involved in the sand traps of, Libya and Syria.
Right.
And now, you have the reaction of, the Trumpy isolationism exemplified by Laura Loomer and people like her and Tucker Carlson.
Yeah. Tucker's gone way off the rails. Tucker has gone really far off the rails.
Unfortunately, I would agree with you. I mean, it's like I feel sad by it because I've known him. I respected him for a long time. I've interviewed him. So it's kind of, a tragedy to see the misinformation. But it all falls into, the Brotherhood's, stated goals from the 1980s, 1990s of getting the U.S. out of the region.
Right. Now, one thing I want to ask you, the Brotherhood believes, like you said, they're like water, but their actual goal is no democracy at all in any country that they have control of, right?
Well, their goal is an authoritarian, rule of however they want to interpret Sharia. They want a global caliphate. That's the goal.
Okay.
Just like Al Qaeda, they want a global caliphate. They just, the thing with ISIS, they move too fast. They declared their caliphate before they had basically Islamized the society. They're the dumb Islamists. The smart Islamists, are believe in the boil the frog strategy. Slowly, imperceptibly, people wake up and they're fully Islamized, and they're part of a caliphate again.
Okay. Another question for you. Epic City in Texas, that is a Muslim Brotherhood investment, right?
I haven't paid close attention, but if it's somebody like Yasser Qadi and people like that, it's Jamaat Islami.
So basically, Muslim Brotherhood
basically aligned with it, kind of like the South Asian version of the Muslim Brotherhood, which is arguably more virulent.
Okay, all right. I'm gonna
and you would, being in South Asia, you would probably have a better perspective on Jamaat than I do.
Oh, I am not a Jamaat fan. Jamaat has been the instigator of all terrorism, instigator of all extremism in Southeast Asia. If you look at Lashkar, if you look at Jamiat, if you look at the Taliban, if you look at the TTP, behind them is Jamaat Islami. And when they were banned in Bangladesh, I mean, it really calmed a lot of things down when they were banned in Bangladesh.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I followed that pretty closely. I mean, I have, friend, who was in the State Department over there when all that was going down and last year, and the Indians were, really excited about it.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, they lost the leader in Bangladesh. So the Indians at the end lost.
I know, it's really very unfortunate, but I think that people follow the narratives. They follow the shiny objects, the words. In our culture, in Western culture, narratives, words. Those are the things that matter. And these guys know, hey, these people are dumber than dirt, and we can pull the wool over their eyes very easily by using these words. We don't mean them the way they do. Freedom for us doesn't mean what we do. I mean, like Shura, they would pass it off as being democracy, which basically you start out with whatever the consensus of the scholars is. That's Shura. Am I right?
Yep, that's correct. Yep.
So whatever the consensus of the scholars is, if the scholars' consensus is something that's really heinous to us, I mean, like the Taliban say things it's okay to have child marriage.
Yeah.
But in our culture, that's pedophilia. And how dare anybody, mention that?
Yep.
I mean,
but John, you and I both know. But John, you and I both know that the shuras, the scholars, as they're called, they're not actually scholars in the Western sense of the word. They're not.
no.
They're not actually educated, informed people that are making decisions. They've got basically a 5th or 6th grade level education, and they become scholars because of the way they fight or because of the way they've interpreted things.
The other thing is that the most common, jihadi professions are doctors, engineers, lawyers, because they have a very legalistic kind of conception of Islam. I have friends who were Sufis. I mean, they're the nicest people. They're very, go with the flow kind of people. I'm just mentioning this for the sake of the mindset about how there are two different. People have a mystical vision of Islam, versus people who have a legalistic. The people, the Brotherhood types, the Ikhwanis, the Al Qaeda, ISIS, they have a very legalistic version. Okay. I mean, I'm trying to refresh my memory. Wasn't Baghdadi an engineer?
Yeah, he was an engineer.
Yeah, I mean, and Zawahiri, he was a doctor.
Doctor, yeah.
I mean, it's like you say, those are very concrete, very literal kinds of professions.
Yep.
As opposed to people who are like poets and writers. People who think the other side of their heads. I mean, those aren't the people who are going and killing people. The fun people. They're not the ones that. But the doctors, the lawyers, the engineers, the soldiers, those are the ones causing the trouble.
Yep, got it. Okay, John, we're at the top of the hour. I'm going to say goodbye to you. For our audience, a lot of this stuff is going to go over your head the first time we talk about it, because the way John and I discussed this, we said, let's do an overview of what Muslim Brotherhood is doing in the United States. And then we'll start breaking this down into pieces. So you understand how the groups operate. You understand how the funding is done. You understand how they're actually working within the U.S. to influence the government, influence the Defense Department, influence how policy is made in terms of Muslim Brotherhood. So that's where we're running from. So John, I want to thank you very much for joining us tonight, and we'll see you probably next week sometime.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Okay, let's bring Randy on. Hey, Randy.
Hey.
How are you?
Good. I was just listening to the last 10 minutes of you guys and then scrolling through the little comment section over here where people are getting a little riled up.
Yeah, I see that. Yeah, I see that. No, look, Randy, it's the thing the thing I'm trying to do is get people to understand all the people that are working against the U.S. right now.
Oh, yeah.
And if you don't understand how these people are operating, like John was talking about Muslim Brotherhood, and he said every mosque in the U.S. is owned by Muslim Brotherhood. That changes the whole picture of how the U.S. How the Muslims operate.
Well, you look at the list that we saw that apparently even the state of Texas has given them quite a bit of money.
Yeah.
For what all probably building these things, who really knows?
Yeah.
But obviously what you just said, they've hit the right channels over here to be able to manipulate and then take advantage of those programs that clearly they shouldn't be able to.
Yeah. No, he mentioned that Obama signed a still confidential agreement where he aligned with the Muslim Brotherhood.
Yeah. Who?
And Obama did.
Oh, yeah. No, I knew that. That's what I've been telling Chris for the last couple of weeks. There were rumors that he's part of the show now, which makes total sense because it was Egypt that he went to when he was in office, where he said his famous little, the future of the world should not fall into the hands of those who slander the prophet, which he was talking about the United States and Western countries, all of us, in fact. And that's who he's talking about, although he was the president of this country at the time. Of course, the press over here didn't cover that, but it came out in the end. But that was in Egypt, and which is where, as you know, that is where the Muslim Brotherhood started back.
That's
way back where it started. It was in Egypt
before the Nazis. I mean, John was saying it was before the Nazis existed. It was the Muslim Brotherhood. So that's where we go. Let's pick up with a conflicted question. I didn't do it earlier
Yeah.
because we had a limited amount of time. So I said, let's get John through and then we'll do a conflicted question. So our conflicted question for tonight, if you are alone, you are alone driving out of the state when all of a sudden your car dies. You realize your car died and so did everyone else's. Nobody's phones are working. You have a sinking feeling that an electromagnetic pulse, an EMP, went off. You are surrounded by strangers from all walks of life. Everyone has very limited resources. Would you join forces or disappear on your own? What would be your main goal after this decision? This is a tough one, Randy.
Yeah, it is. You know, it is. Like I say, he's been picking some doozies. You know, but some of it. Yeah, no, that's what I mean. He's been picking some doozies lately. All of them have been fairly difficult. You know, like, but some of what I don't like about it, just like that, says you're going to be driving out of state. Well, yeah. Probably after all this happens, ain't nobody going to be driving anywhere, I would say. No. You know, that's going to, if we're in the apocalyptic state, you know, you're not going to be driving your car anywhere unless it looks like Mad Max. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, you know, so anyway,
so
let
me get Carnival into this. Carnival, we have the code Eat Meat, which gets you 10% off of Carnival. It's great meat. I'm still waiting to receive my first package. But from what I've heard from Mike Glover, from Randy, from Chris, it's fantastic stuff. And I'm actually looking forward to getting that. On top of that, if you are not a subscriber to Survival Dispatch, we'd like you to go and set up a free account for yourselves so you get updates from us. On top of that, if you become a paid member, you get first view on JJ Morris's survival videos. You get the 37 issues of Survival Dispatch magazine. You get 2 months free if you pay for the full year upfront, which is $74.99. And you get access to the SDN system, the Survival Dispatch Emergency Network. And most importantly, you get access to our Guardian signal chat, which on a bad day, you'll get maybe 2,000 messages to go through. On a good day, you're pumping probably around 4,000, 5,000. And it's a lot of intelligence. It's a lot of conversation. You'll learn a lot inside there. I spend whatever time I can get going through the signal chat. But there's a lot of people in there sharing a lot of information. So if you sign up, that's where we'll take you. Tonight, we are talking about the economic collapse. Now, over the past few episodes, we've been talking about what happens after the attacks end. And when we get to the shadow governments, which is where we are right now, you had an economic collapse. The dollar is no longer worth what it used to be. The stores are gone. You have shadow governments set up. You have shadow police set up. Your banking system is gone. Inflation has gone through the roof. If you've not done any prepping beforehand, all of a sudden you no longer have the ability to buy anything with the money that you've got. Your public confidence is gone. All of your vulnerabilities that you thought that you didn't have in the US will all be exposed because of the collapse. And what we're going to do is we're going to talk about what happens when the collapse starts. So segment one is the widespread coordinated attack. So the terrorists have all attacked. They have carried out attacks on the supply network. They have taken care of commerce. They've destroyed the infrastructure. Again, this is 10 to 15 mid-tier cities. 10 to 15 mid-tier cities. But the rollover is going to be throughout the US, and that we all understand. They've used social media to amplify the fear, the violence. They have driven people to panic buying. They have driven people to hoarding. You've now reached a point where the stock market is gone. The ports have frozen. Global trade has stopped. You have got panic everywhere. And if you look at what happened during 9/11, the US's GDP across all sectors dropped 14%. That's a massive drop for the US in terms of generating funds. And your cyber elements have just gone nuts. I mean, you'll have hacking happening on not just your financial networks, but your tech companies will get hurt. Your electronic companies or electric companies will get hit. Your utility companies will get hit. Your hospitals will get hit. Basically, anything they can hit, they will hit. So that's where we are right now. And the first question I've got for you, Randy, is looking at what happened in 2001 and what we're looking at right now, how much of an economic damage do you think is going to happen to the U.S. because of it?
Well, if we take September 11th, as our model, which we should, because it's the most recent history and it's something that we all lived through, and then we can look back and see it. We were here, it's not something we have to actually look up. But people, you may not remember, there for a week or two, even the banks, everything shut down.
Yep.
So that right there in itself, I don't know. I want to say it probably took us a couple of years to basically recover from that, didn't it? Something like that. There's definitely a year to 2 years before we recovered financially just from that little setback.
Yeah.
And so what we need to realize is within a week, we kind of knew that maybe that was it. You know what I mean? And certainly that second week just confirmed that, and life went on. Well, that's not going to be the case, most likely, in this instance. And so I would imagine, and then we've talked about some of the other players trying to, even the global elites, right? I have no doubt that if this attack is allowed to go off, and honestly, that's what I believe, if we were doing our jobs and the federal agencies were doing their jobs and all that was being done correctly, even with them being here, I think we would be able to stop it and thwart it. But I think that they're going to allow it to happen, just like some other events in our past. And I think that those people may pile on afterwards. So what does that mean? Exactly what you just said. The dollar will go away. It will collapse. It will be done. And as you know, that is their biggest piece for all of this. Right now, they're going to use these jihadis, right, for their action arm. But they're not the ones actually running the show. So the people that are, I think, then will pile on, and they have to break the United States dollar. They have to do away with it in order to be able to do what they want to do next, which is take over everything and then come up with their own system. And I think that's what we'll see. There's really no telling what we will, that's going to piggyback off of that. I believe that there will be. So it won't be just the attacks, which if they're successful, if they even have 50% success rate, that's going to be quite devastating to our country and society as we know it today. But I think if other things pile on, we may see such changes that, I don't even know that we could fully describe, that people would fully understand what would come next after that. But it's going to be kind of like we said, there won't be any money. You won't be able to buy stuff. And then we're going to have to find other ways around to do that until whatever said system comes in and takes over and sets up. I think at some point that will happen. I don't think it'll be good for us, but I think that will happen afterwards. But, I think in the interim, you know what I mean? You're going to run out of water, food, and everything else. And it's just going to be a bad day at Black Rock, so to speak.
Yeah. The question you were in Iraq when Baghdad fell, right?
Oh yeah. Yep.
When the Saddam government was taken out, how did Iraq function until there was a stable government put in place behind them?
Well, it was utter chaos, really. Like I was saying yesterday. So basically, for those that haven't been on, I'm sure several of these folks have heard it several times. But there was a significant amount of looting where everything was stolen for 3 days. I mean, literally everything was gone. And then the criminal element came out and started taking over different sectors of town and different spots that they were able to do that. And then at some point we started implementing a government, but literally it took us 2 or 3 weeks to kind of close that down enough to where it was able to do that. But what happened, unfortunately, right after that, then a whole nother army unit came in, right? That's when the next unit that took over, which was 1st AD, and they took over, and then it went right back. You would have never known that we calmed that place down. The moment they took back over, it's like these guys knew right away. And in fact, they did. It was within 2 or 3 weeks, we had arrested some folks, and we found a little flyer they had built, you know what I mean? and they had and I was in third ID at the time. They had the third ID patch drawn, and it basically said in Arabic, "You see this patch, leave them alone."
Okay.
But first ID had the triangle.
Right.
So then they had the triangle. You see this? Hit them hard, and which they did, because these guys had just rolled into town. They had a completely different ROE. They weren't experienced, and now they found themselves in the middle of this shit show, and the enemy went back to work. I think we'll see something similar here, because
that's why I brought up Iraq, because I remember when Afghanistan first fell. When Afghanistan fell and the Taliban was taken out of power, Afghanistan went into a state of war. Afghanistan has been at war for many, many decades now, so it wasn't really anything new for them. But when you had bombs falling from the sky as well, and all of the Taliban leadership that existed before, they disappeared. And all of a sudden, all the criminals, all the nasty element came out that was controlled by the Taliban before. They came out and they took over. And that's why I asked you how Iraq was, because I wasn't in Iraq when when Baghdad fell, but I remember when Kabul fell.
Well, I think it's a human nature thing, right? As we spoke about before, and I know you have seen this. It happened in Afghanistan, it happened in Iraq. When you have an absence of power, there's a vacuum left behind. No different than when Saddam was gone. Look what happened to Iraq. Even though we were still there, our military was still there, that place completely turned into a big shit show. And every single element and faction was trying to vie for power. And it won't be any different here, whether it be street gangs and all the way up to mafia members, people that have organizations and have men and weapons and money or whatever they're going. It may not be strictly cash, right? Because talked about the dollar might not be, but there will be these folks, as you well know, people that have people of means have more than just money. So they will still, that's right. They will still be able to get and do things. And those people come out and take charge. And as we've mentioned on the show, and I know you've seen probably 1,000 times over there in many different countries, unfortunately, the good guys get whacked long before they ever get to take over. You can have a good guy and start to put him in power, but but all the other bad guys, that see that as their spot, come out and take charge, so to speak, and they end up killing that guy.
Well, so it was even when the U.S. government was in power in Afghanistan, you still had a shadow government of the Taliban. You had your governor that was put in place by Karzai or Ghani, but you still had a Taliban shadow governor that was still running the show.
That's right. Karzai was the first one, wasn't he?
Yep, Karzai was the first one.
But he didn't last long, did he? They assassinated that dude quick. And then I think a couple more after him. So I believe that will happen here as well. Because if we don't have, it depends. If we deploy our military out and maybe some of law enforcement still in place, that's the only thing. But you know as well as I do, when there is no rule of law and that power it leaves that vacuum, someone's going to fill it. And it's not going to be just one. There will be lots of people that will then see their chance and make that move. Guaranteed. It's what happens every time.
But because the U.S. the U.S. government is very different than the countries that operate on this side of the world. When these attacks happen, I fully expect the U.S. government to deploy the military immediately, because they're not going to let cities fall into what the BLM status was or what Antifa is trying to do. Because the problem was that if you are looking at a country like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, Iraq, Syria, you don't have that structure behind you. I mean, the military runs Pakistan as it is, even though we have an elected government. The military runs the country as it is. But my belief is that when these attacks happen in the U.S., it'll be 2, 3, 4 days, but the military will be rolled out because they won't have another option other than to roll the military out. Otherwise, that vacuum will appear.
Oh, it will. Absolutely. It will. If they don't do that, that's exactly what's going to happen. Because you have to have somebody there that's bigger and stronger. right? That's just with
Yeah.
more force. You know, who can kill the most, the quickest? And, that's usually what determines who's going to take charge. So I
Yeah.
hope that they have some sort of backup plan in place. I'm just thinking, because we saw something about, they definitely would like to take the District of Columbia. I mean, who wouldn't?
Yeah.
That
You
would
take the capital and that's it. You raise your flag.
that will make, if that's part of the plan, they're able to succeed on that one thing alone. Again, even
Right.
50% will make
Yep.
a huge difference, and not in a good
Yep.
way.
Yep. Because
That's just a fact.
we've talked about this, that they're going to use social media to show executions. They're going to show violence. They're going to use that to terrorize and torture people. But
Yeah.
let's switch that to Washington D.C. If you're doing that to congressmen, senators, secretaries, and the president, God forbid, that's going to carry a lot more fear across the country.
Well, then it also shoot, I forgot the term I'm trying to, makes us stagnate, right?
Yeah.
Because that is the functioning government. And
Yep.
if they make it where that can't function, now I know these people got bunkers and stuff like that. So hopefully that is where they go, because
Right.
they can still make things happen from there, just like we did
Right.
during September 11th. But
Yep.
if that is cut off, or they don't, and they're not, then we're going to be in. That is what I'm talking about. If that happens, how are we going to function? You know what I mean? Because our function arm will be gone, or at
Yeah.
least hampered or stagnant, to where it's going to take some time to get it fired back up. That's going to leave a gap.
Yeah.
And that will create some serious issues.
Yeah. We've talked about this before, the role of social media in escalating the public fear and economic disruption. I just want to go into a little bit of detail on this. If you look at how social media is used during riots and during the train derailments, power outages, it's used to push a mentality that the country is weak. It can be easily hit. Like, just for example, yesterday, I think it was 9 states that had their fiber optic lines cut.
Yeah.
Once their fiber optic lines were cut, 911 was gone. 911 did not work anymore. And a lot of people were asking questions that if this was a terrorist attack, what would happen? The same thing, that same question was asked when they found the SIM servers in New York City on Tuesday.
And now you know the rest of the story.
Yeah. This is the thing that people haven't been thinking about. And this is what we've seen on our side of the world, because it's happened on our side of the world.
Yeah.
When there's a riot in Pakistan, anywhere in Pakistan, social media is flooded with pictures, videos. Someone gets shot, the picture is available, right? The picture's put up online immediately. So-and-so died, so-and-so died, so-and-so died. The army shot them, the police shot them. What does it do? It erodes confidence. It erodes your belief in what the government is able to do, or what the government is doing. When you have a terrorist attack, their intention is to create fear. That fear will force you into panic buying. That fear will force you into buying electricity, buying gas, buying LPG. Those things are going to cause an economic collapse. Once the economy collapses, getting it to stand back up again is a much harder task than what you're thinking, than what people think about. Because we've seen this throughout every country the U.S. has invaded. When the economy drops, whenever there's a color revolution anywhere, the economy collapses.
Yep.
Getting it to come back up again, forget it. It takes way too long for the economy to come back.
It does. And then it takes normalcy too, to a degree.
Yeah.
Things to go back to being normal.
Yeah.
Then your
just look
economy
at
can
Ukraine.
come back. Yep.
Yeah, just look at Ukraine. I mean, Ukraine's been at war now for what, 8 years?
Oh, goodness. Yeah.
And they don't even have an economy to speak of.
No, that's because we've been sending them all the money. Lots and lots of money. So, yeah, I think that, social media, you're right, will play a huge part. One, because it already does. I mean, look at X. It's basically taken over the news, since we, young people won't understand what I'm talking about. But now the mainstream media has turned into the National Enquirer, which really wasn't news. It was oddball stories and lies and some little truths here and there. but it wasn't the news. And so the National Choir was kind of a joke. But if you look, it's not on the stands anymore because it went out of business, because the mainstream media took over that little section. And so now what we notice is X and everybody's social media. What is the first thing everybody do is we've noticed, like on some of the things that we've covered, and we're like, look, nobody's even helping the person that's getting pummeled. They're all too busy pulling out their phones to record it.
Yeah.
What are they going to do? Post that on social media. They're going to post that on their social media. So I think that, you know, when we talk about the power and the internet not going down, that will be the reason. They're not really worried about the mainstream media news. They know everybody in every one of those places are being attacked are going to be taking pictures, taking videos, and post them on their own social media, where that stuff will go around the world in about 30 seconds or less.
Well, it does already. I mean, if you think about it, when yesterday when the power went out, in Grand Central Station, how fast did that go across X?
Well, you know, it's like instantaneous. It is instantaneous. So that's as quick as it gets. News can't be that fast, even if they were still good.
No,
you know, there's no way to do that. But you know, we also look at that was probably a probe, right? Let's see what happens when you snip this. How long, how many, and then how long does it take them to get it back up? And then what does that look like? What does that process look like? Where are they sending out these folks? How they repair it? All that is information that they just gathered.
Yep. I mean, the question I had when Wisconsin, I think it was Wisconsin, that was the first state that reported it. When Wisconsin said they had a fiber optic cut, I went, wait a minute, how does a fiber optic line get cut? That's
underground, right? I think.
Yeah, I mean, somebody hits an electric pole. That makes sense to me that the power goes out that way.
Yep.
Cutting a fiber optic line, that means cutting through, and those fiber optic lines are this thick.
Yeah, you had to know where you were going and where to look and how to do that.
Yep.
Somebody didn't just walk up and go, "Hey, let's stick right here. It's probably right here."
Nope. They knew exactly where it was. And when they cut it, 911 went down, and they said, "Okay, now let's see how long it takes them to get this back up again," and what they do. Yeah. And the problem I have, Randy, is when we can see it and we can figure it out and we understand it, why can they not figure it out in Washington?
Well, I think we know the answer to that. I think it's because there's enough of those people that are on the side that want to change this country fundamentally. I think that's the problem. It's not that they don't know or they're not going to find out. It's going to be kind of like your guy told us what, you know, the agency said. Well, we're not going to stop you. We'll just look the other way for a couple of minutes. I think that's what we're going to be seeing because, as we know, those people are not our friends anymore. They're not even on our side anymore. Yes, they hold those elected positions, and we elected them, but most of those people are not on our side anymore, and they're on their own little side. That's why we see what's going on. And I've been telling people for a long time. Now, today is too late. But the fact of the matter is, when it comes to illegal street drugs, if our politicians weren't getting paid, or some of them that have influence, they would have never reached our shores, or at least to the degree they are now. Now it's too late. You know, you're not stopping it now. But I'm talking about decades ago. When they could have done something about it. But as you well know, it's all about pay to play. And that's what our problem is. So we have enough of them up there. It's not that they can't figure it out. They probably already know exactly what's going to happen, or to some degree. And I guarantee you they know the part that I'm talking about that they're going to pile on afterwards. Because it's my opinion that what they've been doing since 2014, and the same reason they designated, you know, the white middle-aged American male was the biggest threat. It's because they were going to do things to coax us in and try to bring us in to a race war, into a civil war. They have been doing that so heavily. It's what my main concern's been this whole time. Do I like it? No, absolutely not. Do I feel like we should do something about it? Yes, I do. But therein lies the problem. You have to be very careful, where many people are like, well, it's time to have another civil war. It's time to have another revolution. Pick up your rifle. I'm like, no, trust me, you do not want that. One,
Yeah,
you don't want that because you
You
have
don't
no
want-
idea what that really means for
Nope.
being here, right here in
Yeah.
your backyard. But
Yep.
beyond that, I think that, they want to change things. And so if they coaxed us into doing it ourselves, they're going to squash it anyway. And then guess what? Same
Yep.
thing they're going to do after this. They're going to
Yep.
come and say, hey, look what just happened. We're not safe like this. These Patriot Act 2.0 is what we need. And it's going to answer all our problems. It's going to answer
That's
all
what
their
Palantir-
problems. It's not going to answer any of our problems. It's
No,
going to
that's what
give us
Palantir-
more. You
Yep.
know, and I think that's what we're looking at, Khalid. That's why they're going to allow this to happen.
Yeah.
And when it does, they're going to catapult off of it and do whatever they want to do and put us in the spot they've been trying to get us in. And I think had we in 2020, any of us going out there and tried to stop some of those riots, like as the American population and more white went out there to do that, that's what you would have saw happen then, I do believe. They would have. That's what I'm telling people. You got to ask yourself, why is it they're so convinced they can stop it once it starts? Because if you to where they are, you have to know that you can be able to stop it, or you wouldn't be pushing so hard for it, because then you don't know what's going to happen. But since they know they can put us down, whatever they have that we don't know about, and there's plenty that we don't know about, that they know they have it in the bag, or they wouldn't have pushed this hard to try to get us to throw the first punch. Because the moment we try to squash it, they're going to say, oh, that was bad. You shouldn't have done that. And now this is going to happen, and it's your fault.
Yep.
That's
They just
what
need
we're
an
looking
excuse.
at.
They just need an excuse to do it.
That's all they need.
One
One excuse. And since we're not giving it to them, they're going to use these jihadists.
Yep.
It's like I said all along, the black community wasn't violent enough in 2020. Didn't kill enough people. Even though it was clear they weren't going to get in any real trouble. And I don't just mean the black community. I mean the thugs that came out and burned main streets, people's businesses. They weren't all black. You know, it's not a race thing. That's what I've been saying all along. The people that talk about race, constantly point out race, those are your racist.
Yeah.
But otherwise, it's not. We're all Americans, and this is a human nature thing.
Yep.
And so what we're looking at, race isn't going to get us out. And we all know you can't fight racism with more racism.
No, that never works.
It's ridiculous.
That never works.
That's what we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah.
So I really think that's all they're waiting on, Khalid. And that's why they're going to allow this to happen, so they can usher in what they wanted to usher in. And the only thing that stopped them was we elected Trump twice now. That is the only reason, because if he didn't get elected in 2016, as we mentioned a few episodes back, it would have been game, set, match.
Yeah.
If Hillary would have got in, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now.
No way. We couldn't even talk about these.
Oh, no. It'd be over.
Yep.
We'd be sitting in our homes not saying a word, because you'd be getting social credits just for complaining in your own home.
Yep. So let's shift gears. Let's talk about what happened.
Yep.
When 9/11 happened, the stock exchanges dropped by double digits.
Oh yeah,
it was panic selling of stocks.
Yep.
The stock markets were shut down for 1 week after 9/11. Foreign investors pulled money out from the U.S. They weren't even sure whether the U.S. would be able to recover from 9/11 or not. And that was one attack. And people abroad started going, maybe the U.S. isn't going to be stable. The dollar weakened. If you remember the dollar around the world, it became weaker.
Yeah.
All of your companies, all the blue chip companies that are the bread and butter of the U.S. economy, they lost money. The credit markets froze because banks wouldn't give any money out to anyone. Small businesses couldn't get loans. People who wanted mortgages couldn't get loans. Everything disappeared, and the media was pushing. They were pushing people to do what everyone else is doing. Buy. Go get food, go get this. We don't know how long this is going to last. We don't know what's going to happen. The trust in public institutions was absolutely just gone. I mean, people didn't trust the government anymore, because how did 9/11 happen if the government was paying attention? That was the question we kept hearing.
Yeah.
I remember I had a visa interview for the UK. I'd gotten my work permit for the UK, and I was 3 days after 9/11 supposed to be at the embassy. And I went, when I saw those planes hit the tower, I went, there's no way we're getting visas. No way. This
Right.
no way.
Yeah, that's a dead stop right there.
Yeah. And I mean, we went to the embassy and the British acted like nothing had happened at all. We got our visas within 2 days. And we just kind of went, that happened in the US and the UK doesn't care at all. So I mean, it was a real weird thing for us because we thought there's no way we're going to get visas now.
Yeah, that was some sort of indication, wasn't it?
Yeah. So the question I have for you, and I asked this in part before, that was just one attack that caused that much damage to the U.S. economy. We are talking 10 to 15 cities across the United States that are going to be attacked just like Mumbai was.
Yep.
How much damage is that going to do to the economy?
Well, let's take a look at where we are right now, a little financial snap, right?
Yeah.
Because the economy, although we've gotten some of it going back, we have to admit, we're kind of in one of the worst financial spots we've been in decades, not just citizens, but the country, companies, everybody, right? And again, the dollar isn't worth crap right now. I mean, when people talk about, the cars, trucks are $70,000, or you can buy $100,000 pickup if you want, or if the gold's $3,700 an ounce, all that tells you. So if we went back to the early 1900s, late 1800s, gold was like $300 an ounce.
Yep.
So it doesn't mean gold became so much more valuable. What that really means is it tells you how far they've destabled the dollar since the early 1900s to now the early 2000s. It is so far, the dollar's not worth shit, frankly. So that puts us in a very bad position when something like this happens. So then let's go through the attack, right? So we know that it's probably going to last 2, 3, 4, maybe even 5 days.
Yeah.
Maybe longer in some cases.
Yeah.
That's going to shut every single thing down. As Chris has mentioned, we have the statistics, by day 3 or 4, no one's going to work or school anymore.
No way.
What happens then? All these companies go bankrupt because none of their products are being put out. No one's buying. Well, once the initial buy is gone, that's over.
Yeah.
They're not going to be putting new products on the shelf, refilling them. So,
and that's assuming that they don't hit the supply chains. I mean, they don't hit the trucking.
Right. And we know we know they're going to. That's not even a thought that's not going to happen. That would be like trying to get drunk right now and pretend like none of this exists. No, they're going to. They're going to. And so what that means is by the time that means, so if the banks and Wall Street were shut down at least a week, maybe 2 after September 11th, and listen, nothing else happened. Yeah. And although things went slow, within a week or 2, things were relatively, for most folks, back to normal. Everybody was going back to work, people going to school, all life went on.
Yeah.
That part will not happen
this time
within 2 or 3 weeks. It might be 2, 3 months. It might be a year, depending on how bad this gets. So now let's think about that. That means there is no recovery. That means all these companies in the United States are going to go bankrupt to a certain degree. Plus, there's not going to be anybody at work. So the financial setback will be drastic, unlike we've ever seen. I guarantee you, people will compare it to the Great Depression, but it's going to be worse than that.
Yep,
it's going to be worse than that because nothing bad happened but the Depression then. And that was all that happened. This is like multi-pronged, this is like a big giant octopus coming out of the water and taking over the ship and bringing you to the bottom. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah. But do you think that how Trump is trying to get America back on? Nixon took America off the gold standard. Trump's trying to put America back on the gold standard. Do you think this is the reason why he wants to put America back on the gold standard?
Well, let's just look at that. That was one of the things Kennedy said he was going to do too, right?
Yeah.
There were 3 things Kennedy said he was going to do. He was going to take us off the Federal Reserve, put us back on a dollar. He signed us out of Vietnam, and he told the CIA he was going to scatter them to 4 winds. Shortly after those 3 events, he got dead.
Yeah. Yep.
So Trump should be very careful in maneuvering that way. I think it's the right decision, but none of those people and the people that are running it and those global elites are not going to want that. That's the last thing they want.
Yeah.
If he gets us on there, again, it's going to depend on how long this lasts and how long everything is shut down. Because as you know, if things are shut down for 2 months, it's game, set, match. We're going to have to start over, basically, and it won't matter.
Literally.
It won't matter if we're on our own dollar on the Federal Reserve at all at that point. It won't matter. It'll be
I'm at a point where I'm thinking, look, America's going to get to a point, if the dollar collapses, if you had gold or if you had silver, that would be the currency of the day. Nothing else would work because nothing else has value. I mean, the dollar wouldn't be worth the paper it was printed on.
And trust me, folks, if you have that, you better not be telling anybody you do. And even after things go off, you be very careful of where you pull that out and use it, because they will be coming to take the rest of it from you. Use one coin, they're not going to care. They're going to come see what you've got. They're not going to go, well, he probably doesn't have that much. Well, how much does he have? We need to go find out, because that will happen. That will happen, because gold and silver at that point will be far more valuable than they've ever been since the history of this planet.
Yeah, because a lot of people are talking about crypto right now, saying, let's buy crypto. That's someplace we can invest. But crypto is based on the ability to buy.
That's right. And it's nothing. It's an electronic chip. It's nothing. It's
I mean, I remember there was a friend of mine who lost his crypto wallet. All the money was gone. There's no way to get it back.
Well, let's take Gaddafi, right?
Yeah.
Before we threw him out of power and they killed him, what did Gaddafi do? Do you know? He took them off the Federal Reserve. And now that country was coming storming back and had more money than everybody else. So you got to ask yourself, was that the reason? I think it was.
I think
that's what got Gaddafi smoked.
Yep.
It wasn't what they said it was, and it wasn't all that political shit. It's because he took his country off and put them back on a dollar for them, and then they came roaring back. Well, they don't want everybody to see that.
Yeah.
Certainly all your poor countries.
Yep.
Don't want them seeing that, because what if they do the same thing?
Yeah.
So that's what it really comes down to. It's
I mean, if we shift the conversation, okay, the financial collapse is going to happen. There's nothing you can do to stop that financial collapse.
No, I don't think so.
At the same time, I mean, like the first story I saw this morning when I got up was that the UAW had announced that they were going to launch stop strikes where they were not going to work. Now, if the UAW stops working, that means all of your factories stop working. That means your supply chain is gone, right?
Yeah.
You add to that the truckers. If your semi drivers are either illegals, don't know how to drive, or cannot get anything from the supply chain, there's no way to supply it at all.
Well, you know what they're going to be out doing, right? They'll be out running people over at this point. That'll be their job. Somehow they'll have gas, and they'll be able to drive that thing around, just running people over.
Well, see, this is something that we've seen here in Pakistan. A semi-truck is the worst weapon you could ever have.
Oh, it is.
Because not only does it work as a bomb, it works as being able to run people over. It works as being something to carry weapons from one place to another.
Well, and they are hard to stop. If you've ever watched any of these police chases where they're trying to stop a semi, they've used stop sticks and pop tires. Those things just keep on rolling. The most effective thing I saw, and it wasn't even the state of Texas, because we don't have that. And I want to say, might have been Oklahoma or Arkansas. I don't remember. But however, their plan worked perfectly, because what do? They called their highway patrol, and they have some of their highway patrol is trained to pull up next to them and stick a rifle out the door, and they hose that dude.
Oh,
and it worked. Killed him.
That worked. That always
works. That truck rolled to a stop, chase over.
Yep.
Everybody else, it was much more dangerous. There were wrecks. I mean, you can't almost stop those things.
Yeah.
If there's somebody in there to decide that you're not going to stop them.
Yeah. Well, the point I was getting to was that when you talk about, you know, the supply chains going away, Americans don't farm anymore. Like you don't have
at all.
gardens in your home anymore.
Yeah.
I remember when I was growing up, we had gardens in our house. So we would go out in the backyard. There was tomatoes, there were cucumbers, there were potatoes. You could get all kinds of vegetables from your own garden. That
That's
doesn't
right.
exist anymore.
Yeah,
And
that's a fact.
a lot of people don't have that skill anymore either, Randy. Forget
No,
the
they
fact
don't.
that you
They
have plant
don't.
seed, but that skill is gone as well. What is going to happen when the food supply is gone, the meat supply is gone, and there's nothing to eat? What are you going to do then?
You're going to starve to death. But people will, you know, here's what they're going to do, Khalid. They're going to start eating each other. I know people don't want to hear that. They don't believe that, but it's a fact. I go back to the Donner Party. We'll go back to the guys in the Indies in the 70s. That's what they had to do to survive. And those were normal people, everyday people. And that's what happens. So when I told people that you will eat the ass out of a dead horse, I meant it, because that is a fact. You get hungry enough, you will eat anything. And I'm a pretty picky eater.
Yeah.
But, you know, I had to eat some stuff in the Q course that I'm still not happy about.
Yeah. I know what you mean. I had to do it out in the field as well. When we run out of food and we go, oh, now what do we do?
But that's just human nature. You will eat whatever you can when it comes down to that. And, you know, well, it's even World War II. It was known that some of those German families ate their babies because that's all they had to eat. And when it came down to it, that's what happened. You know, it's a sad fact, but it's the truth.
Yeah.
And, you know, people just don't talk about it anymore.
Yeah. It's just like cannibalism. I mean, you talked about it last night where you said, you know, if you look at what happened in the Andes, the soccer team's plane that crashed, they ate each other to survive. And people don't understand that part of it, that, you know, when you get to that point of absolute starvation and there's nothing available, you don't have a lot of
whatever you need to do. That's what will happen. People
especially if you have a family.
They don't want to believe that, but trust me, folks, this is what happens. And I've been, you know, in the southern tip of Iraq and in Kuwait, out there with the Bedouins. They don't have much, you know. And in fact, I never saw a kid with shoes on their feet till I got to Baghdad.
Yep.
None of them had shoes. Now, all the adults had flats, but not one kid. And it was one of the times it was around 135 degrees out. So hot, even though I'm sitting in a Humvee, I almost can't pick up my rifle because it's hot and I'm in the shade. There was a kid running around with no shoes on right across the street, running around.
They get used to it.
His feet must have had calluses a half-inch thick on the bottom of it. Had to have.
I've seen the same thing here in Pakistan. I mean, you see kids running on boiling hot roads where it's 110, 115 degrees outside, and they're running on that road like it's ice. And you go, how is this kid doing that?
I don't know. And then you know what I'm talking about. So every house I went into until we got to Baghdad, and even a lot of those, but the people from the from the bath party, and the rich people, they had homes, they had kitchens and stuff like that. But most of them were little shacks. And they have a Bunsen burner. That's what their stove is. And anytime I saw food was like pates of slop, some kind of brown liquid that might even been dirt. I don't know. But I'm telling you, we wouldn't have eaten it. That's what these people were eating every day.
Yeah.
We're not going to be any different when you can't go up to 7-Eleven or go down to, you know, Kroger or HEB. You can't go hit the McDonald's or other, you know, any other fast food that's on the corner. When all that's gone and you have no food, I'm just telling you, people, you have no idea. When you get that hungry, you will start eating anything. So people ate leather back in the day. Would eat their leather shoes to try to stay alive.
It's just the thing that people don't understand. I mean, the reason we keep saying prepare, stock up, get material, get the food in your house, because you don't know when this is going to happen. We know that this is going to start end of November. You have October and the whole month of November to start stocking up and being ready for this. The reason we keep saying prepare is because we know what comes after. And when the after comes, you're not ready for that.
Well,
because when
Yeah.
and you've got family. There's nothing you can feed them. So how do you deal with that? And it's the reason we keep going over and over saying prepare, prepare, prepare. We're not worried about the attacks. We know what the attacks are. We know what they're going to do. But as a citizenry, if you're not prepared for it, it's game over. And this is why we keep telling people that if you're doubting these attacks are going to happen, and Sarah did a post on this just the other day. She said, look, stop thinking about the if and the when. Just prepare for it, because it's going to happen. Whether you want to believe it or not, it's going to happen.
And that's a fact. So, stock up your protein. Everybody go buy out Carnivalt right now.
Yep.
Have you some rice, bags of rice. I have a ton of it because you can almost keep it forever. I know last time I said that, somebody blasted me. No, you can't keep rice for 100 years, but trust me, you can keep it for as long as you keep it dry and the bugs out of it. Those and beans, it's why armies have carried those for centuries.
Yep.
So stock up on that now, because you're not going to have a chance once it's all said and done.
Yep.
Once that attack starts, if you're not, whatever you prepared for at that time, that's all you're going to have.
That's all. Yeah, that's all you've got. And we get a lot of questions from people via email saying, when does the attack happen? When's the attack happening? We keep going, listen, stop thinking about the attack and start thinking about preparing.
Yes.
Because right now, when you think about it, the whole world knows this attack is coming. Sarah's been talking about it. We've been talking about it. Scott Mann's been talking about it. Legend's been talking about it. Sean Ryan did 3 or 4 shows about this. And that was almost a year ago.
Yeah.
And people are still going, oh, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Well, I'll tell you, it hit my kids. Both my kids now come and ask me about it. I'm like,
really?
Yeah, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
The number of videos I've seen in the past 2 or 3 days from people that go, we didn't know this was going on. And what do we do? There was this girl in Chicago that made a video saying, I just saw this and I don't know what to do. And I'm telling you guys, start preparing, do this, do this, do this. The wave has opened up now. Everything we've been talking about has now turned into reality for everybody.
Yep.
And the fear that people have is they're not understanding that. Look at Europe right now.
Yep.
What's going on in Europe is coming to America.
Oh, and we watched that video last night. He told us, didn't he?
Yeah.
He's not the only one.
Yep.
There's a lot of those guys out there saying the same thing right now, folks. So that it's happening. It's going to absolutely happen.
Yep. Now let's jump into this, because look, your intelligence agencies, whether it be the CIA, the FBI, any intelligence agency you want to talk about in the US, the UK, MI6, MI5, DGSI in Great Britain or in France, everyone knows this is going to happen. But they failed because they don't understand how to attack the terror network. And the reason they don't understand how to attack the terror network is because they're still working with the old Al-Qaeda playbook from 1990.
Yeah.
They're not working with the new playbook that ISIS is running.
Yep.
And ISIS has changed the game of how terror works. ISIS does not play at the level of one attack and that's it. ISIS says we are going to hit you not once, not twice, but over and over and over and over again until you collapse. And you say, that's it, I can't do it anymore. Fine, I'll do what you say.
Well, I say that's, it's because they've definitely gotten some professional help. But we also have to realize we've all been training them for the last 25 years.
Yep.
Now, ISIS wasn't fully evolved then, but
ISIS
by 2012, 2013, somewhere in there, or maybe even earlier.
Yeah.
But regardless, we've been training all these jihadists for 25 years. And now it appears not only have they used that training, that they've gotten some other professional help.
Yep.
There's no doubt about that, because now these are very strategic, very well thought out, very methodical, very diabolical plans.
Well, I'll tell you where they got the help. I mean, we see it in Afghanistan. This is Terror Central.
Oh yeah.
The Russians are helping them.
Yep.
The Chinese are helping them. They've got some support from the Pakistani military. There are some segments of the Pakistani military that are still pro-Taliban. They're helping them. If you go back and look at Petraeus' statement from 2012 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
He took Al-Qaeda, trained them to fight ISIS in Iraq. So you have built their system, and all ISIS did was they said, okay, wait a minute, we're following, the old way, madrasa, religious school, let's run this way. ISIS said, wait a minute, let's build like a PR company, put out a flashy magazine, start putting out videos, start using social media, start using encrypted apps, and all of a sudden you had a massive explosion in terrorism.
Well, ISIS did become the pros, and I think that's because they had Barack Obama and some of his peeps help them. That's who started ISIS, helped them. It even come out now that Hillary knew about it, and some of the things she did protected them as well. They got professional help from them. And it's like I said yesterday, what we now have is the side of this country that hates it and wants to fundamentally change it forever has now embraced the jihadist, right? Because like I just said, they're going to be the action arm that they use to actually get it done. Because as you well know, people think they're badasses, right? They think they're going to pick up a gun and go kill some folks. It's not as easy as you think it is. If it was, everybody'd still be doing it.
No, I still remember 2007. It was November 2007 when I killed my first person.
Yeah.
And I still see that guy's face in 2025 in my head.
It never goes away. Unfortunately.
It never goes away. And that's the thing most people don't understand. That's why vets come back with PTSD. Because that shock, that effect that it has on you, it doesn't go away.
Well, I've noticed that some places are starting to call it by a better name, which is a moral injury, right?
That's true.
I think that's a better description than PTSD, because disorder, by its very definition, means there's something wrong. Not something happened to you. Yeah. Something's wrong with you. That's what disorder means, which isn't true.
That's not true. No, that you watch something happen that went completely against what you believe as a human being.
And then your brain couldn't process it, so it becomes unintegrated information. And guess what happens when unintegrated information comes across the kaleidoscope every time?
Yeah.
Every time it comes across the viewer, bam, you have that same reaction.
Yep.
And that's just how powerful the brain is.
Well, the problem is most people don't realize that these things that happen, they stay inside of here. I mean, if a little kid were to see on the streets a gang shooting, they'll never forget it.
No,
they'll be traumatized every time they hear something that sounds like a gun. That memory will come back.
Yeah, I saw during spring break. I was, I graduated in Corpus Christi, and in the middle, the early '80s to mid '80s, Fort Lauderdale outlawed alcohol on their beaches, and we know why. Because everybody in the country went to Fort Lauderdale for spring break, and it turned into a nightmare. So they had to outlaw alcohol on the beaches. So then everybody came to Port Aransas in Texas for 2 or 3 years. And in 1988, there was a riot there too, and they shut that down. But previous to that, we were going out there, man, it was so packed and everybody was drunk. We saw, the first one I saw was he was a white guy. He was kind of a muscle bound dude. Looked like he was not a bodybuilder, but he could be. He was a big stack dude.
Yeah.
And he was on the beach, and we're not very far from them. And I see this because I saw it all the time. There was a bunch of Latinos over there, right? And then true to form, what they always do is the littlest Latino will come over and start something with the big dude, right?
Yeah.
The smallest guy. They send him over. He starts running his mouth. They get in a fight. The rest of them jump on him. One of them pulls out a knife, and they sliced him right across the stomach. Old boy was holding his guts in by the time it was all said and done. And then another one I saw was some guy was in a Trans Am in one of the newer ones too, that no longer the Smoking the Bandit one. The next version of it was what this was. And of course the beach is packed. So he hits a car, right? But then he didn't stop. And as he's trying to get away from those people that now chase him, hits another car and another car and another car. And now he's going down the beach. You're not going to get going fast because there's too many people, too many cars, and all the sand. So he's now got this whole mob following him, about 10 cars he's hit. And I mean, a mob. So he finally gets to one of those exit roads. The problem is during spring break, those are all chewed up and the sand's probably 3 feet deep. So as he tried to speed up and go across it, he sunk in the sand. And his tires just spin. They killed that guy. They literally, that mob went and departed that guy's car. The doors were off, the hood, everything. And they took that guy out. And I'm pretty sure he did not live because.
Wow.
So, but again, what you said, I've never forgotten that to this day. That was when I was 15 or 16 years old. I'm now 57, and I've never forgot that.
Yep. That trauma stays with you. I mean, that's the thing that people understand, because everyone thinks, you know, I go to the range and I fire, I go to the range and I do this, I do this, I do this. Firing at a target is one thing. Firing at a silhouette is one thing. Firing at another human being is very different.
Yes.
And not everybody can do that. And
it's definitely a lot easier at a distance. Face to face is a whole nother ball game.
Yeah. Yeah. But explain to me, Randy, what happens with the intelligence agencies? What happens with the military? What happens with the economy when we get to this point where it's literally completely out of control?
Well, we know what's going to happen to the economy. The question will be what happens to our military. As far as our intelligence services, they're still going to be around, folks. We're not going to get rid of them, unfortunately, because it's them and the international bankers. Those two are on the same side. I've told people for many years, our intelligence agencies are no longer on our side. That is a fact. I don't care what anybody says. You can argue with me all you want. Proof's in the pudding. They are not on our side. If they were, this would not be happening. So they will be out there, but they're not going to be the good guys. So I don't know what they'll do. I know it won't be good, but I can't really speak to what they may or may not do. Our military, then it's going to come down to, are we able to keep them in the force? Because when this all happens, and then, of course, when there's no money and nobody's getting paid, are they going to stay in uniform and listen to their commanders and their NCOs?
That's the question.
That will be the question. If they do, that will be good for us, because at some point we will be able to deploy those troops and put this down. It may not be in the time frame that we want. There's still going to be a significant amount of damage, and there's going to be more damage by them coming in and removing them.
Yeah.
But we will have that arm available, hopefully. But if everybody decides to go their own way, it's, as you well know, a word I hated to hear in the Middle East, inshallah.
Yeah. It's a smoke fest.
Inshallah, God willing.
God willing,
I think that it's a 50-50. You know what I mean? In my mind, we got a 50% chance of keeping them, but we also have 50% chance of them being like law enforcement. Like, I'm going to go take care of my family right now.
Yeah.
Because this is utter chaos. There is no structure.
Yeah.
So then people then they're like, oh, well, that's it. Nothing matters anymore. My contract, my job doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That will be our problem with the military. However, I hope, if that happens, that it won't be any different than our revolution. We'll have people in the community that will step up to start making that happen.
That's what we've been saying a lot in a lot of these episodes, that a lot of the retired vets are going to have to step up.
Yep.
Because once the economy in the country, certain areas of the country end up being in a state like this, you no longer can count on who's going to come to save you. That's why we keep saying no one is going to save you. There is no one coming for you, because everyone's going to be worried about their own house. Everyone's going to be worried about their own food. Everyone's going to be worried about their own families. There is no such thing as a military after that. Even if martial law is declared, you may have, I think the U.S. has maybe 2 million in the military right now. You'll be lucky if 50% of them are still enlisted after this happens.
And then you got to wonder how many of those are overseas in Germany, South Korea, Kuwait, and other places. You know what I mean? How many do we actually have in the United States, which we don't really know? They're not going to tell you that.
They're never going to tell us that.
It's a classified number. It's just like they're not going to tell you. They'll tell you a roundabout number, how many people are on the force, but they're never going to tell you exactly how many soldiers and Marines and Navy and Air Force that we have on active duty. It's not going to do it. Or any particular unit. Yeah.
And that's the security risk.
That's right.
This telling us about this attack is not a security risk. but telling us how much force we have behind us in the U.S. at any given time, that's a security risk. But
Well,
that's the
all you
part.
have to know, all you have to see to know that the system's not going to be on our side is the media talking about it? Have they talked about it?
No.
So they're not
No.
on our side.
No.
They're
I
not
mean,
on our
that's one
side.
thing I noticed, because social media is now flooded with everything about 9/11 2.0.
Yep.
Flooded,
Yep.
whether it be misinformation, disinformation, actual information.
It's all there.
It's all there. I mean, the Zionists are planning on attacking the U.S. is another story that's flying around. It's going to happen sometime next year, not going to happen this year. The sheer amount of things that people are making up and putting out there to try and get people to go, well, I don't know. And the government is not saying anything. The mainstream media is not saying anything. So everyone's going, well, do we trust this person? Do we not trust this person? Do we trust this person? Do we not trust this person? Look, it's really easy. The people that we're talking about before the government issued the alert, those are the people you listen to.
Yeah.
Because they were talking about before the government said anything.
That's right.
All these people are now talking about because a piece of paper came out and said, there's a threat.
But you haven't seen it on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN,
Nope.
or any of those. Fox.
MSNBC, nope.
Not on any of those. And so you have your answer right there, folks. So you're not going to be able to trust the system. People don't already, but believe me, this is nothing compared to what we're talking about.
What's coming? Oh my God, forget it. Even social media you won't be able to trust. So the thing everyone needs to understand is that the first thing you need to do to survive what's about to happen, you need to diversify what you have in terms of funds. Convert a percentage, maybe 30, maybe 40% of your bank funds into precious metals like gold and silver. Because when these
the ones areas, you have, folks, don't buy it from folks that they're still holding it for you. That won't do you any good.
No. And if you've got them in a bank safe deposit box, put the safe in your home and put those in your house, because
or bury it
when
or something.
the world collapses, you're not going to get it out of the bank. Trust me on that.
I know.
You're not going to do it out of that safe deposit box. So get it home, keep it safe with you. Learn how to barter. Go to those places where flea markets, swap meets. Learn how the barter system works, because that's going to be one of the skills you have to understand. On top of that, if you have cash, because you're going to need cash for a certain amount of time, don't keep all hundreds, 20s, 50s.
You want small bills.
5, ones. Make sure you break it up, because you don't know how much you're going to need, when and how and where you're going to need it at to buy what you're going to need.
And people aren't going to be making change.
No, whatever you have, it's theirs. You give them $100 bill, that's gone. You're not going to see change back. Number 2, get your neighborhoods together, get a communication plan put together, get your protocols in place, get your security plans in place. We have said this over and over and over and over, because we are running out of time. I mean, you are talking 2 months before the clock starts ticking. And I mean, literally, that clock starts ticking. Sarah the other day on in her post said sometime mid-December we're expecting the attack to happen.
Well, I would definitely say it'll be the holidays. There's no doubt about that. From the time frame that we've been given, if you were going to make the biggest bang for your buck, you're going to do it right in the middle of the holidays, probably right between Christmas and Thanksgiving. Now, you could do Black Friday. You could do any day that everybody is out. And they're going to be. That's what we do.
Well, think about it, Randy. If you think about it, the month of December, everybody is in a shopping mall. Everybody is out after work because they're buying.
Think about how traffic is just during that month alone because of that. It's nonstop. It's all the time, and that's what we're looking at.
Yeah. So get your plans together. Get your family set up. Get them understanding if we're distributed someplace. Kids are at school. We're at work. How do we get where we need to go, and where do we go from there? You may not be able to get home. Have a second place somewhere there where you can set up. Keep that in mind. Also remember that if you look at history, whenever civilization has hit something like this, it's always been the people that were prepared for it, that had done the homework beforehand, that survived. You need to be one of those Not one of the people going, oh, it cannot happen. It cannot happen. The September 10th ideology will not work. And you need to understand that the reason people are talking now, we've all been talking for the past 18 months about this. We've all been talking for the past 18 months about this. Now, all the influencers they're talking about, they're going, oh, holy shit. What if this happens and we're not ready? Because that's the fear they have.
I would say, what I've told people is, listen, I would rather go out and spend the money and be prepared and it not happen and feel like, okay, that was a little silly, than not, and it actually happened, because then you'll be totally screwed. And my daughter said that point. She's like, well, Dad, look at this. It was like 2 years ago. I said, yes, honey, but here's the reality. What they've been doing in that 2 years is all the probing and picking the spots and doing all their testing. That's why it's 2 years old. But trust me, this is very, very credible information.
Yeah. It's the part that people don't understand, that, even though you want to believe that this is a new threat, this is not a new threat. This is something everyone has known about, and people are now preparing for. People are now talking about it. And because they're talking about it now, the time frame you have to get ready, because the government acted so late, the time frame you have to get ready is very limited. Had you been listening back when we started talking about it 15, 16 months ago, you would be so stocked up right now. They'd be going, let it happen. I'm not worried if it's a hurricane. I'm not worried if it's a flood. I'm not worried about this. I'm not worried about this, because you will have done all of your preparation. All these people that are screaming and yelling about it right now is because they just woke up to a threat that everyone's been talking about. And that whole time they've been going, no, it's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. No, it's not going to happen. So that's where we come from on this. Forget the time frame. We know what the time frame is. Get yourself ready.
Get you and your family and where you're going to go if you're not going to be able to stay home. Because trust me, not everybody is just going to be able to stay at your house. That's a fact. You have to weigh that out of where you live, how that looks, what your population looks like. So, the thing about it is, just like I've said, the government hasn't said that, and neither has the media, although they've known. So you got to ask yourself, why is that? Well, it's because they know. They know.
There's a reason they're letting it happen. That's the thing you got to remember.
Exactly
There's a reason they're letting it happen. I'm going to jump to the hero of the day.
Yep. Who we got? Who's today?
Oh,
Chris would be proud.
I still say we need to put a Madden in there. I still say we need to put John Madden going boom, because without that, this just doesn't fit the way it should.
Yeah.
The hero of the day, is this young boy.
Uh-oh.
Everyone was really upset with him. This young boy is my hero of the day. He pissed off all the liberals in my neighborhood. Check him out.
It's Trump back on the track. 2024, let's bring it back. Make America great again. That's the plan. From the White House to the Senate.
All the liberals are
4 years down, now he's back in the game. Trump's the name and he's staking his claim. Make America great with the anthem loud. Building up walls, standing tall and proud. Man with Kim. It's Trump back on the track. 2024, let's bring it back. Make America great.
Heck yeah.
This is our hero of the day. This little boy. I think it's a great video, Randy.
Yeah.
This kind of happiness is something we need.
Hopefully that was in California, right?
It doesn't say where it was, but it would be great if it was California.
There is a hill behind him, so
yeah, it could be California. And from our Guardians, we have this story. Chris didn't give me a name of who gave this. He says multiple Guardians submitted the story as the top story of the day. It's Stephen Miller. The NSPM is the first ever comprehensive national counterterrorism strategy to uproot domestic terrorism networks on our soil. President Trump signs the National Security Presidential Memorandum establishing a comprehensive strategy to investigate, disrupt, and dismantle all stages of organized political violence and domestic terrorism. Let's
Good.
play
This
it.
is the presidential memorandum on countering domestic terrorism and organized political violence. In recent weeks, months, and years, we've seen a tremendous upsurge in some highly visible, but also other acts of domestic terrorism and organized political violence being perpetrated by radical, politically motivated groups all over the country. What this presidential memorandum will do is set off an administration-wide response to that, ranging from the Joint Terrorism Task Forces to other components of the Department of Justice, to the Department of Homeland Security and the Department of Treasury. We're looking at interdicting these groups, preventing them from performing acts of violence, and also looking at sources of organization and funding and support that prop them up and allow them to do the acts that they have been doing.
We're looking at the funders of a lot of these groups. And, when you see the signs, and they're all beautiful signs made professionally, these aren't your protesters that make the sign in their basement late in the evening because they really believe it. These are anarchists and agitators, professional anarchists and agitators, and they get hired by wealthy people, some of whom I know, I guess, I probably know them. And you wouldn't know it. You're at dinner with them, everything's nice, and then you find out that they funded millions of dollars to these lunatics.
President Trump.
Well, I'm glad they did that because, I always wondered why 20.
Yeah, do it. What?
And
Randy,
everything that's taking place. It seems like it would be easier, but it just isn't the way it works, I guess.
But now at least Trump is taking action.
Yeah.
And it's putting an end to the domestic terrorism, which is fantastic.
Needs to be.
This should have happened a long time ago. The Soros
Absolutely.
All of that has to go. America is not the America it was, and it's because of these lunatics that have gotten involved and said, "Oh, we're going to destroy the country." Let's get to the conflict. The conflicted question.
All right.
Here we go. So you are alone driving out of state when all of a sudden your car dies. You realize your car died, and so did everyone else's. Nobody's phones are working. You have a sinking feeling. An electromagnetic pulse went off. You are surrounded by strangers from all walks of life. Everyone has very limited resources. Would you join forces or disappear on your own? What would be your main goal after this decision? Randy?
Well, so this is kind of a tricky question, right? But, because you don't know how far you're from home, where you're going, or any of that kind of stuff. Far that being aside, if something like this happens, then you got to realize that maybe something else is coming. That would be my first thought. Okay, if they just did this, they just stopped everything electronic, what's next?
Yeah.
I personally, now, again, it's going to come down to the situation. There could be things that happen or change, or I see someone or end up talking to someone that may change it. But in this instance, as this car, I'm getting out of the car and I'm going to either be trying to make my way to where I was going or back to the house, or, you know what I mean? I need to somewhere to go, and I'm going to do that on my own as best as I can. Now, if I run into somebody that I feel a certain way about, or I saw them help somebody or something to that effect, maybe. But generally right now, I don't have time to try to fill these folks out.
No,
right? Or they're going to screw me over in the end. So I don't have time to do that. So I'm just going to disregard every bit of that. And I'm going to try to get to whether I was going or where I need to go back. And so that's what I would do. Again, unless there was something that happened, like, there were some people being attacked and then a group helped them, maybe I would get in with the group that helped. But there would have to be some extenuating circumstances, and I would have to see more from those people before I ever, let's go make a friend.
Yeah.
And this,
I'm of the same thought. I mean, look, when an event like that happens, sure, you're going to ask the few people around you, what's going on, what do you think? But your first goal is to get yourself to safety and then get yourself home, because like you said, an EMP attack means something else is coming. And not everyone's going to be thinking that way. They may be just standing on the road going, well, 10 minutes from now, 15 minutes now, half hour from now, I'll start my car. but you're not thinking about what's the next step, what's coming after this, because you're not every vehicle is not going to get hit with an EMP unless there's something else planned.
Well, what they would be doing that for a reason too. They're not going to just do an EMP just to kill the electrics. You know what I mean?
Yep.
They can do that without that. So to me,
No.
that would be an indication that something else is coming, and it's definitely time to get the hell out of there.
Yep. Yeah.
As quickly and as quietly as possible.
Yeah, as quietly as that's the key. As quietly as possible.
Yes.
So that ends our episode for tonight. Tomorrow night, let's see, we're off tomorrow. We're off on Sunday. We'll be back on Monday with the next. I think we've got 2 or 3 episodes left in this arc, and then we move into the next arc of the Long War series. Number 1, if you join our Guardian, make sure you get a free account. Sign up with Survival Dispatch. If you sign up, you get the sit rep. You get the weekly watch guide that comes out every Saturday. All the episodes we've done in the past week, you'll get all those in your email. You get early access to JJ Morris learning videos. For paid members, you get enrolled in the Survival Dispatch emergency notification system. You get access to our signal chat, and I'm not kidding. That signal chat, you will have to mute it because you'll be ding, ding, ding.
I think I had looked in there for 3 days.
Yeah,
a couple of days ago, and I looked, and there was over 3,000 messages. And I was like, "Oh goodness!" I just had to hit the arrow, take me to the bottom.
Yep. You also get access to the entire library, the 37 EMAGs, and you get full. If you look at our sit reps, at the line where Chris cuts off, where his signature is. If you're a paid member, you can see all the links that we used, all the content, all the information we used to build those the sit reps. You'll get access to those as well. Until Monday, like, share, comment, and we will see you. And please enjoy the next the closing video. And
grab some Carnival.
Yep, Carnival. I forgot about Carnival.
Yeah, get some Carnival. It's easy. That's one of the things I like the best of it. You'll see when you get it. It's just so easy to prepare something, and then the meat
I cannot
is good.
wait. I honestly cannot wait to get my hands on this. Listening to you, listening to Mike Glover, watching Mike Glover's cooking video.
Oh man, he's got some good ones.
How do I get my hands on this stuff?
It's like, and I'm buying mine. I'm not, I'm not as gifted as Mike, so I have to buy mine. But I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that. It's good. So we're down.
So that's it for us tonight, guys. Thank you so much for being a part of the episode. We'll see you all on Monday. Until then, God bless America.
God bless America.
All this hurt inside, though I try. Everyone, what are you doing out here?
Oh man, just make them around.
You and Michael been after them turkeys.
Shoot. I've been chasing them. Michael's been killing them all over the country.
Speaking of the country, man, I was in there watching the daggum news, and it's unbelievable, unreal what this country has come to. You know what I mean?
You're right about that. It's crazy. It ain't the country I grew up in, I can tell you that.
I know.